All right, so you've just wrapped your head around the amazing, intricate dance of protein metabolism. Now, let's get practical and tackle a question that hits us every single day.
Right? It seems like such a simple question, but the answer has gotten way more interesting lately. We're going to find that Goldilocks zone, not too little, not too much, but the amount that really helps your body thrive.
So let's jump in and define what this sweet spot actually looks like, based on the latest science. There are a few key numbers to know, and they really tell the story about how much our thinking has evolved.
First up, we've got the AMDR. This gives us this huge, flexible runway for protein, anywhere from 10 to 35% of your total daily calories. But, the modern advice is to stop aiming for the low end. The real benefits for your metabolic health seem to kick in when you're in that mid to upper part of the range, say around 20 to 25%.
Okay, now for the number you've probably seen a million times in textbooks: 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. For decades, this was the standard, the Recommended Dietary Allowance, or RDA. But what this number actually represents might surprise you.
See, the big thing to understand here is that 0.8 was never meant to be the goal. It's the floor. Think of it as the absolute bare minimum you need to eat just to keep from getting a clinical protein deficiency. It's not the target for feeling great and being healthy. And this is where things get really interesting. The upcoming 2025-2030 guidelines are rolling out a new serving goal. And look at that, it's 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram. That is a huge jump.
So why the big change? Well, this really signals a major shift in how we think about nutrition. The focus is no longer just on preventing sickness. It's about actively promoting awesome long-term health. This higher range is what the science shows is best for building and keeping muscle, for better insulin sensitivity, for really optimizing your body. It's a move from survival to thriving.
And of course, our needs aren't set in stone. Just look at this comparison for pregnant females. Their floor is already way higher at 1.1 grams per kilogram, and their optimal goal is even higher, going all the way up to 1.7. And that makes perfect sense, right? That extra protein is absolutely critical for the baby's brain development and for supporting the mother's body.
Okay, so we've got our target, but how do we actually hit it, especially if we're getting most of our protein from plants? Can you really get high-quality, complete protein without meat? Oh yeah, absolutely.
The secret is this really cool, elegant concept called protein complementation. You see, most single plant foods are incomplete, which just means they're a little low in one or more of the essential amino acids. But by simply combining different plant foods, you can build a complete set. It's like a puzzle.
And here's the classic example literally everyone knows: rice and beans. Rice on its own is low in the amino acid lysine. Beans, on the other hand, are loaded with lysine. Put them together and voila, their profiles perfectly complement each other, and you've got a meal with all the essential amino acids your body is looking for. So simple.
Now, what's really cool is this modern update to the science. For a long time, the advice was that you had to eat these complementary foods together in the exact same meal. But now we know your body is way smarter than that. It keeps this little reserve called an amino acid pool. So as long as you eat a good variety of plant proteins throughout the day, your body can just grab whatever it needs from that pool, whenever it needs it. Pretty cool, right?
Okay, we've set our goal for optimal health, but it is just as important to understand what happens at the other end of the spectrum. What happens when protein intake isn't just a little low, but dangerously low?
Well, that can lead to a condition called protein energy malnutrition, or PEM. And while it's pretty rare here in the US, it's a massive health problem in many poorer countries. And even here, we still see it in people facing food insecurity, in some older adults, and in people with certain medical conditions.
PEM shows up in two really distinct ways that just tragically highlight how unique and important protein is. On one hand, you have marasmus. That's basically starvation, a lack of everything, calories, nutrients, and it leads to that severe wasted-away look. But kwashiorkor, that's different, and it's a really stark lesson. It can happen when a person is getting enough calories, but not enough protein. This leads to symptoms like edema, that telltale swelling in the belly and legs, because without enough protein, the body literally can't regulate its own fluid balance.
All right, let's pivot hard. We've gone from the dangers of too little to a very modern, very heated debate. What happens when we eat too much protein? With high-protein diets being so popular, this is a super important question.
So first, let's just be clear on what we're talking about.
A high-protein diet is generally one where protein is giving you more than 25% of your total calories, or when you go above that optimal serving goal of 1.6 grams per kilogram.
So what does the evidence say? Well, it's a mixed bag. On the plus side, sure, high-protein diets can be great for weight loss because protein makes you feel full, and they've shown some real benefits for blood sugar control. But there are some serious potential downsides. For anyone with pre-existing kidney problems, it can be downright dangerous. Plus, these diets can often be high in saturated fat and low in fiber, which brings its own risks for heart disease and even cancer.
So we've seen the pros and the cons of going high protein, and it really just hammers home the point that more is not automatically better. Which brings us right back to where we started. How do we take all this information, the floor, the goal, the extremes, and find that perfect balance for ourselves?
So, let's wrap it up. The big picture is this. We've shifted our thinking from just trying not to get sick to actively trying to be as healthy as possible. For most of us, that means aiming for that 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram goal. We know now that you can totally get there with a smart plant-based diet. And at the end of the day, protein is a true balancing act. Going too low is dangerous, and going too high has risks. Balance really is the key.
You know, this whole time, we've been focused on the quantity of protein, but what happens when the problem isn't the amount you're eating, but the specific type of protein, and your body decides that protein is actually an enemy? Well, that's exactly where we're headed next.